Let's Start a Business, Episode 2. Thanks so much for joining. In this episode, I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome and building meaningful collaborations. Before we get started, I really like this quote. I've heard it in other podcasts, I've heard it in YouTube videos, and even some TED Talks. And I don't know who the exact author of this quote is, but I'm just going to share it because I really like it. No one is coming to save you. Your life is 100% your responsibility. I resonate with this so much because I didn't have a traditional background. I didn't go to college straight out of high school. My dad worked in a factory for the majority of his life, and my mom worked in healthcare and moved herself up into a government job. Both of them are amazing people and have given me so much and have taught me so much, and basically showed me that you can start with nothing and really build something out of it. And I'm really appreciative of that. And this quote saying that nobody's going to come and save you, and your life is 100% your responsibility, is completely true. I have been in some really tough circumstances in my life, and it wasn't until I was at that lowest point in some of them that I'm like, you got nowhere else to go. So pick yourself up and move in the direction you want to go, and just do it one step at a time if you have to, but move in that direction. And it is the truth. And the reason why I bring that up is because this week I had a lot of thoughts that really were working against me. Imposter syndrome was kicking in quite high this week, and I had a lot I had to accomplish. I think seeing things that are happening in the government, the reading through LinkedIn posts about, layoffs, and it just a lot of stuff is happening now. A lot of negativity is going on in social media, and it can just be drowning when you take it all in. And because of what I'm trying to accomplish, I am immersing myself in social media. And there are some amazing things out there, but then also there are those negative things. So I started off the week Sunday. I relaxed. I got myself prepared for Monday. I was going to hit the ground running. And I did awesome Monday. Monday, I hit the ground running, did and accomplished everything that I needed to accomplish. But then Tuesday rolls around, and I just froze. I was running through the motions, but I just froze. It was like two parts of my mind. One was saying, why are you doing this? Just get a regular job, Megan. Just go back to the corporate life. You're going to fail. Everything that's going on right now, you're going to fail. And then there's this other part of me that's like, why are you listening to this voice? You've been through harder than this. And what really, I don't think it was fear, but I think what really got me was knowing that I was going to have to put myself out there. A big thing about building a business is building relationships. And through those relationships is building that trust. When you're in a corporate setting, yes, there is going to be that trust between yourself and who you're working with, but it's different. It's different when you're building a business, because not only are you reaching out to individuals that you're wanting to provide a service to, but you have to build a rapport with them. And I think everybody knows that at some level, but it's still kind of daunting. Like, you're putting your reputation on the line. You're putting a promise out there to this business as you're building this relationship. Sorry, not just to this business, but to this individual that you are working with. You're putting this promise out there that you're good at what you're doing, what you do. And you can not only complete what you want to do for them, but you can knock it out of the park. And those stakes are high. I think when you're in a corporation, yeah, the stakes are high, but it's really high when you're staking yourself and your reputation, and it can be very intimidating going out at that level. And it wasn't so much the conversations that I needed to have. I've talked to generals, I've talked to executives, and I've talked to founders before. I've had those conversations, and I've done that, but it's the reality of, all right, we're in this, we're doing this, and you got to talk that weak side of your brain that's telling you you can't do this, that you can do this. And as I'm having this conversation with myself, all of these memories about people that did not believe me in the past. For example, I was in the military, and before I joined the military, going through basic training, when I graduated, on my graduation day, my drill sergeant came up to me and he said, "I didn't think you were going to make it. I thought you were going to have to come back and complete this." I sucked at running. Let's just put it frankly, I sucked at running, and I still do. I enjoy running, but I totally am not that, I don't know, what is it, 13, 14-minute mile person. I don't even know what the standards are anymore, but I was the person that would be there a minute before or a second before I needed to be within that minute mark. I graduated basic training with the running by the threads of my tailskins, or whatever they say for that. It was yeah, it was one of those. But I did it, and I did it because I knew I could do it, and nobody was going to tell me that I couldn't. And I think thinking back on those types of conversations that I had, it just motivated me. When somebody tells me no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to do it. You can think I'm crazy. You can tell me that what I'm doing doesn't make sense. But if it makes sense to me, and it makes me, I don't know how to explain it, but if it makes sense to my mind and my heart, then that means that it's the right move, even if I'm scared. And in that moment, I gave myself a little bit of time to process it. And then after going through those memories, I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. We got this. Imposter syndrome will always be there. The panic attacks will happen now and then. But the belief in yourself and what you're building is what will get you through it. And when that is not there, then just keep pushing through until it is there again. I went through a lot of that this week, and it was a lot of back and forth, but probably what saved me from quitting and just having a plan of like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to reach out to these many people, I'm going to have these many conversations, I'm going to explore this and see if it leads to anything. And that's what got me through it, because I knew I had a system in place, and I could do what I needed to do as long as I stuck with that system. So that brings me into the next thing that kind of happened this week. The reality of collaborations. So one of the things that kind of created this imposter syndrome on Tuesday was I was sitting in on a or wasn't sitting in. I had a collaboration on Monday, and it wasn't so much, I wasn't trying to sell anything. I tried to go into my conversations not trying to sell my services. I genuinely want to build a connection with people and understand who they are and go from it at that way. Because in the back of my mind is I'm always thinking, okay, maybe we don't work together now. But if I know somebody that needs your services or vice versa, and we trust each other, and I know you're going to do a good job and I know I'm going to do a good job, then I want to build that relationship. I want to have that relationship with this individual. And I'm hoping that they're going to want to have a relationship with me as well because I'm awesome. I mean, I may not be the person you need services from, but I will do everything as myself to provide any type of resources or support that I think might be useful. And I know that sounds weird, but I like doing that. I like exploring and stumbling across things, and there's a lot of times that it really helps people. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy. And one of the reasons why I want to start a business is not just to provide a service, but to meet people and give them these great resources that I come across, or connect people with these great people that I connect with. So again, I go out in a tangent. That brings me back to my collaboration game plan. I knew that I was going to have to put myself out there. I'm going to get a lot of no's, but I'm also going to get a couple of people that may want to connect. So this week was all about collaboration. I created a list of individuals that I wanted to connect with. I sent them a message. Some of them responded back saying, yes, let's connect, let's arrange some time, and I have some meetings coming up. And then an interesting thing that happened was that I was starting to get organically people wanting to connect with me. And that's a lot of conversations. What I did was I created 2 lists. I have one for a list in Excel that it's the same Excel sheet, but one list for client outreach, one individuals that I reached out to that I felt I'd have a good connection with, that I could possibly work with them, or I genuinely liked what they were creating. And then in the same Excel sheet, I created another tab of organic connections that came out of this week. In that sheet, I have the business name, the point of contact, where I met them, when I met them, and kind of highlights of the conversation and what next steps are. And if I've sent a message to them, I have follow-up date. Now, but seeing that list, reviewing it at the end of this week, and seeing how many people I'd actually connected with was amazing. And when I say connected, I don't mean that they connected me on LinkedIn. I mean, some of them did. I'm saying these are individuals that connected with me on LinkedIn, and we either met or we have plans to meet in a virtual meeting, or we've had email correspondence back and forth. And that, at the end of the week, and actually seeing that was amazing, because at the beginning of this week, I had this fear of, I can't do this. And at the end of the week, I'm looking back and I'm seeing all of these amazing people that I've connected with and I've had meaningful conversations with. And it's just eye-opening that when you move forward with something, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't know exactly how things are going to pan out, it leads to something. Now, given going into those conversations, I did do some prep work. I reviewed these individuals' profiles. I tried to understand their business, try to understand maybe where their pain points were, not to go into the conversation and sell them something, but to have an understanding of who they are as an individual and the type of business that they have, so that I'm not just walking into the conversation without having done that research. I want my conversations to be authentic, and I want them to know that I appreciate their time. 15, 30 minutes may not seem like a lot of time, but that can be a lot of time for somebody, especially if their calendar is booked and they have a lot going on. So, but anyway, I've chatted your guys' ears off. I want to say thank you so much for listening in this week's episode. Kind of final takeaways for this is, imposter syndrome, it's never really going to fully disappear. But if you keep moving forward with the plan that you have in place, it's going to help you move past that a lot faster. There's going to be a lot of outside noise that can make it really unsettling and hard to focus. So figure out what works for you. Collaboration is going to be about, it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. You're going to have a couple conversations, or reach out to a couple of people before you find your stride. But in the end, it's about learning and refining and building trust within those relationships. And again, at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. So you have to show up for yourself. And in my case, nobody's coming to save me, so I have to show up for myself. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. If any of this resonated with you, let's connect. I'm going to drop my LinkedIn profile again. If you want to have a conversation, I love having conversations, even if it's over LinkedIn or email, drop me a message. Share your experiences with me with imposter syndrome and how you approached collaboration in the comments, and let's grow together. chatted your guys' ears off. I want to say thank you so much for listening in this week's episode. Kind of final takeaways for this is, imposter syndrome, it's never really going to fully disappear. But if you keep moving forward with the plan that you have in place, it's going to help you move past that a lot faster. There's going to be a lot of outside noise that you can't control. For, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on like layoffs and the government stuff happening in the US. All of that can make it really unsettling and hard to focus. So figure out what works for you. If it's meditation, if it's closing social media down so you're not listening to it, not watching the news, do what works for you. And then, collaboration is going to be about, it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. You're going to have a couple conversations, reach out to a couple people before you find your stride. But in the end, it's about learning and refining and building trust within those relationships. And again, at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. So you have to show up for yourself. And in my case, nobody's coming to save me. So I have to show up for myself. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. If any of this resonated with you, let's connect. I'm going to drop my LinkedIn profile again. If you want to have a conversation, I love having conversations, even if it's over LinkedIn or email, drop me a message. Share your experiences with me with imposter syndrome and how you approached collaboration in the comments, and let's grow together. Thanks so much again. Have a good evening.